Welcome back to MSG 150, along with Walt, Frazier, and Bill Bradley. We're now thrilled to be joined by the captain, Willis Reed from Louisiana. Willis, so wonderful to see you. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the 1970 championship team. Give us an update on how you're doing through all this difficult time.
Well, basically, I'm trying to stay in, Mike. Trying to take it easy and make sure that the virus don't slip in here in my house and catch me.
Well, it's wonderful to see, and Bill and Clyde were talking about obviously the finals against the Lakers, and Bill talked about how yes, Game 7 is the iconic game that everyone remembers, but Game 5 was in many ways the pivotal one after you went down with the injury, and yet they still rallied to get the victory and take that 3-2 lead. What do you remember from what you were going through, getting that injury, not being able to return, and then see your teammates rally for the big win?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing you don't want to do is that you want to play all the big games, and you don't want to get hurt. You want to be able to play at a high level, and obviously my getting hurt didn't help us. But I think that of all the games we won, that was probably the most significant game because winning there meant that we had a chance to get a chance to play again and have a chance to win.
So after Game 5, you don't play in Game 6, and of course Game 7 is the most storied tale of all in Knicks franchise history. And back then there was no social media, there was no pregame coaches press conference, so most people had no idea if you were going to be able to play. But I've seen you talk about this in the past. You knew you were going to play. You just didn't know how effective you could be.
Yeah, that was right. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen when I got on the floor. I was hoping that I was going to be, once they gave me the cortisone shot, that I would be great and wouldn't even feel the pain in my leg. But that wasn't quite the case. And all the guys came in and said, "Hey, man, you give us a few minutes and we're going to win this one tonight. I mean, championship going to be out." And I think the greatest thing about all the advantage that we had in that final series was what we had home court advantage. And the fans at Madison Square Garden were unbelievable. They were unbelievable. And I mean, if I had to play one game anywhere in the world, I would like to play it at Madison Square Garden with the fans, because I think that, they were the kind that they believed we could do it, and we did. And I think, obviously, Clyde had a great game. I mean, one of them games that, we're giving him MVP for. I mean, those are the kind of games that, you just don't have many of those. And he had it at a moment that we needed all of it. And we had a great team. And guy who's not here, who's my great friend, with Dave the Butcher, who was, heart and soul. I mean, he was a tough guy, and he made a lot of things happen. I really don't think. I guess you know it now. Clyde, I think you know it now that you were a good player, a great player, a great player. You just didn't know it at that time. I mean, you had all the talent because you could defend, you could score, you could rebound. I mean, there was nothing in the game that needed to be done that you couldn't do. And I think that was a very significant part of our team. And on any given night, I mean, you could get it done for us, and you were a leader for us too. But we had a group of guys that I thought that on any given night, you don't know who we're going to be going to get it done. And the biggest thing were that once we saw that guy was having a good night, we would always make sure we got the ball to him.
So, on the seventh game thing, when I left the locker room, I don't know about you, Clyde, I didn't know if Willis was going to play. So he's on the training table. And then we're out there warming up, and suddenly there's this rumble. And then there's this roar. And Willis is limping out onto the floor. And I look down to the other end, and here's West, Baylor, and Chamberlain. They're no longer warming up. They're watching Willis. And then, the game starts. He put it on the line, Willis, the courage, and showed you put your career on the line for your teammates. And you got the ball like second time, about 17 feet. Chamberlain hung under, you shot, made it. 2 plays down, you did the same thing. After that, it was Walt Frazier night, and the rest of us just kind of walked around the edge. But you're the one who did it.
Well, Clyde wanted to see if I could make it. I was surprised he passed me that first shot.
People thought it was premeditated that we knew Willis would play or come out. Like Bill alluded to, when we left the locker room, we had no idea. So usually in the playoffs, when we leave the locker room, Holtzman would pull me over. Like if we were playing the Bullets, he'll say, "Hey, Clyde, forget about offense. Just focus on defense on Earl." So when we left the locker room this time, he told me, "Hey, Clyde, hit the open man. Just move the ball, make sure everybody get involved." And that was my thought going into the game, was just to get the ball to the open man.
So you were the open man.
Well, no, I mean, you got something like 14 assists
Hey.
in addition to, 36 points or something like that.
We loved every minute of it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
After all these years, there's such a bond for this team and between all of you, and the respect and the love that you have for each other. It's overwhelming to watch. But what was it about that made it work so well, that made it click so perfectly, both on and off the court?
I think everybody liked each other. I mean, and I think everybody respected each other's skills. And I think we like winning. And that's the best thing.
It starts at the top. Like Holtzman was the catalyst. He demanded that we play together or you wouldn't play. I mean, that's part of it, but that doesn't make you play together. So as Willis is alluding to, we liked each other. Like, I never really met Willis' parents. I never really met Bill's parents, but I know they were like my parents. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. You know, teamwork. Bill Bradley doesn't have a prejudiced bone in his body, man. This guy, like they used to say about Bill, he's as straight up as 12 o'clock, man. So this is what he brought to the game, a solid person, always there. You could always count on him. So we idolized Bill because he was this Rhodes Scholar. So Phil and I used to always try to get around Bill, try to learn from him. The captain was my idol, his tenacity on the court, always giving 100%. You know, never take any prisoners. Don't take any prisoners. And then off the court is altruism, dealing with the fans and the media. So being one of the younger players, I was able to get this from these guys, all the different players. Barnett, how he took care of his body. He was 8 years older than me, didn't smoke, didn't drink. So that was the type of camaraderie that we had on this team. Everybody on the same page. You know, like Bill calls me for Christmas now. Willis calls me for Christmas. But like you, Mike, they never give me a gift, but they call me. You know, they're very concerned.
I'll send you a basket of
He don't need
today.
a gift. He don't need any gifts.
You know,
Bill, your thoughts on that?
what? Yeah. Well, I think, there were complementary talents on the court, but there were also complementary personalities. I really was moved by what Clyde said about Willis's parents and my parents being nice people. I think that, there was a lot of humor in the locker room. Some people were funny, Barnett in particular, and other people were straight men like me. When you're on the bus traveling with people and you're eating, I mean, you're with people for, 16 hours a day for 9 months. You get to know them as human beings. And obviously it helps that we went to the mountaintop together. But I really feel that I didn't belong anywhere as much as I belonged on that team, just from a deep personal standpoint.
Well, I think that's the perfect way to end. Gentlemen, I don't like to speak for other people, but I think in this case, I can speak for every Knicks fan when we say thank you for the joy you've given us. And for many of us, myself included, we fell in love with the game of basketball by the way you played it. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for what you've done for us, all of us Knicks fans.
Okay, Mike, thank you so much. And we want to remind everyone that our friends at NYU Langone want everyone to follow the safety guidelines and stay safe and healthy during these difficult times. And with that, we say thanks for watching the MSG 150 at Home presented by Chase, and we'll see you next time, everybody.